listening to Living with ADHD and CPTSD, available on Apple and wherever you get your podcasts. Of CPTSD episode about fear and safety with Victoria from Twitter.
Yeah, I mean, shifting the topic into healing, I definitely saw a pattern in people and relationships that I've had. I'm very humbled by, what made me want to bring them in close, because in a sense, how Shrek says, I'm layered. Well, because I am a very deep person and really young, I understood that no one else really has this viewpoint. And it's really hard to talk how I want to talk and be transparent about what I want to say when I get a look of confusion. And then it makes me realize, okay, pull back, a lighter layer of trying to connect with what I'm trying to say. And that's why I get a lot of people, it's like, you're pretty vague, you're pretty mysterious. But I just learned from a young age that no one is on this space. No one is here with me on this plane of what I want to say. And you hit it on the head where it's like, believe in yourself. The authenticity of being true to yourself. If you are true to yourself, that is pretty much the key of your day in and day out of how you decide to allow something in or allow it out. And there's trial and error. There's no perfect formula for how that's going to happen. So
yeah, exactly.
I was a very introverted person. I came into professions where communication with vendors, clients, quality control, going into mortgage and basically doing the Ken role of a project manager, it has really shifted me the last few years of how I communicate externally, to the point where people I'm talking with the mental spaces are like, no, you're an extrovert. And I'm just like, so I retook a personality test just for the fun of it. And sure enough, everything is split down the middle because I was able to identify where my shortcomings are. And I press forward on, I know I'm weak in this area and I want to do better. And I'm not perfect by a long shot. And I'm not saying that, I have achieved, Mount Everest but it does reflect in, when you're saying like, wow, 5 years, I have to put that much time in, but it makes so much sense because one step a day is taking you that much closer on your journey. Every mountain you climb, there's another mountain waiting for you. It's peaks and valleys. And what I came full circle on is what I was looking for in other people is honestly what I wanted in myself. And, before the pandemic, I exited out of a long-term relationship of 6 years of someone I wanted to build a future with and have a house with and kids with. But unfortunately, addiction and alcohol was more important than that future. And I had shelved a lot of things because I was committed to this future. And you finally just kind of, it's not even about seeing the writing on the wall. It's just realizing like, this isn't going to move further. And, I had a conversation with my father. I haven't forwarded to, that timeline, but I'm in good relations with my father. And he was just like, well, you two are so good together. Are you sure this is what you really want? And I was like, yes, I deserve better. I deserve better than someone coming home at 2 a.m. and I don't know what's about to happen. Like that is not for me. And
that's not safe either. That's for you, especially.
So in a sense, I COVID's hitting, I'm changing career paths, and I just thought to myself, what is it that I really want to do? What is it that I can accomplish? And, I changed my diet. I changed, just a lot of lifestyle change in general. And I was so hyper focused and hyper committed. And I did it for a long time. And, I worked on my credit. I saved money. I've accomplished getting a better vehicle I've always had reliable vehicles, but something that's like in the late 2000s, not like a 2005 Prius, and, like for like what I drive now is the 2019 CRV. It's reliable, whatever. But, all these things that I had shelved because I committed to a relationship, I am hyper independent too. Like there's a balance, and it's completely relatable to your girlfriend saying like, I am aware of what is healthy and safe for me and my needs. And I don't have to entertain someone who doesn't meet me at my level and my needs. And when I had this long-term relationship end, it's like kind of this truth that had always been there. I finally accepted it. It was like, yeah, I'm probably never going to move out of Texas, or I wouldn't be in Texas right now. My family is here. I love the area, et cetera, et cetera. And, that whole fantasy of like, oh, I'll be the one in the family to move out of state. But, so that was a reality that sunk in. And then just really having the gusto and the bravery to really say, no one is stopping me. Nothing is holding me back. I have, for the first time in my life, the ability to challenge myself with all the skill sets that I have gained to this point to propel forward. And there's this excitement that just comes from deep within, where like how committed you are to this new habit and this new goal, that you will excel. Being a perfectionist or being hard on yourself is very, in the realm of complex PTSD. And, everything is a balance. So in my opinion, my biggest takeaway was, like we had discussed, when you look in the mirror and you say, I love you, you are beautiful. And you can, work on that and say it every day, every night, and slowly start to, believe and develop belief in that. But it's not the same as truly being on the other side. And so it hit me that it's like, I can love broken people. I can have them a part of my life in any way I choose. But where I'm falling short is not putting myself first in that relationship. And that is the key to things that I'm still working on. Like my mom is not a saint. And, I want a two-way street with her. I desire for her to be a part of my life. I don't want to shut her out. But there comes a point where it's like your judgment is so thick that I have to take a step back because I'm grown. I'm so like, I know you're my parent. I know you are always going to care for me, but there is a space of, something in some shape or form where you have to, like, it slowly just keeps clicking. Like the older you get, it's just like, wow, why do I struggle so hard with this relationship with my mother? And then it all comes into place when you realize like where it all started. And so here's something that we talked on earlier today, which was generally when events happen in my family dynamic of toxic and unhealthy behaviors, I would talk with the party involved, get aligned with, who, what, where, when, why, and what's the problem at hand. And generally, I have no problem being open with my boyfriend and, just saying, hey, this happened today, FYI. But for the first time ever, I was like, I'm just going to not talk about it. I'm not going to relive it. I'm not going to keep all of this that we processed in this moment in real time and just redig it all up to regurgitate it to someone else. And it's not like I'm putting weight on their shoulders, and it's not like I'm dragging my baggage to them and saying, fix me. It's more just like, hey, I just want you to be in a loop. This is what's going on. But in reality, I can shut that loop down. And so for the first time last night, I didn't say, hey, this is what's going on with Mom, Dana, and Chels, And as of today, I haven't said anything about it either. And it's not like I'm hiding it, but it's just realizing that I have the power to stop that from, to keep looping on itself.
Right. That's like, that's like you've found the next level, or that you found that progress level, and everything like what you were just talking about. And I was thinking as you were explaining it and discussing here, is it sounds like you sound like someone who in a typical world with this who has done a lot of work, who has done a lot of healing, and knows what the reality of this is and has a handle on it, right? Like because you sound, I said this a number of times yesterday and again today, and I was talking to my girlfriend. I said, she sounds so much like you. And it's so very similar ways, because your explanation of how you've learned and how you've progressed and your growth from where you were to now, and even just what happened just even last night, is like another level that you've just achieved, or you've managed to get there. And you go, wow, and you feel good, you feel happy, you feel like confident, you feel safe, you feel like everything is just, it's like it's falling into place, and you've done so much work to get there, and you realize what it takes. Like the words are, you owned it. You've owned what happened, and you've done the work. You've gotten to the point where that you don't have to tell people. You don't have to say, this is what I did, but and tell the whole thing. You're confident, and you feel like healed enough that you don't have to go and relive it all. Everything you've done, everything you've said is great. It's fine. It's perfect. And that's as far as it needs to go. Someone who's maybe in the middle of their healing progress might have that need to have to tell somebody, right? Maybe it's maybe they're looking for reinforcement, or someone saying, yeah, good job, that's awesome, you did so well, blah blah blah, right? Like, and then you get to the point, like you said, where you don't need anybody else to tell you. You don't need to tell anybody, because you already know. That you did a great job. That you did what you needed to do. You don't have to say, hey, guess what I did? And then, wait for them to go, woohoo, or cheer for you. Like, there's no requirement. You've done it. You're on that level where you can say, yeah, I did it. It was hard. I'm proud. I'm happy. I feel safe. I feel great about this, but I don't need anybody else to tell me. I don't need anybody else to agree with me, because I did it for me. I know where I am at. I know that this is where I want to be right now. That's all I need. Nobody else. I don't need anybody else to verify it. I don't need someone else to go, yeah, you're right. You did a good job. that's not required, because you're at the point where you know, and that's all that matters, is that you know where you are. And a lot of people out there don't. Like, that's a lot of the problem, is because they still have a long way to go, is they think they've done all this work, and they've done so much, and they're so happy, and then they go and tell their partner, or they go tell their dad or their mom or their sister, and that person might, it could just be a slight of word, or a pause, or maybe a look or something, or they say, well, I don't know, or are you sure? And then they get crushed, right? Or they start second guessing, because the person that they think is important, that they have to tell this to, or that is more important in their life, doesn't quite agree with it, or something. They're not there. They're not at that. They're not healed. They haven't healed enough where they know that all that matters is what they believe, and that they know enough. That's all that and that's the ultimate goal, is to be that I know I'm safe. I know what I'm doing. My life is all that matters. Yeah, I have a husband, or I have a wife, or I've got friends that love me and think I'm awesome. But if they all disappeared tomorrow, I'm fine. I'm good. It's not going to change how I feel about myself, how I do my daily whatever, because I'm enough. I'm important. My well-being is all that matters, and everything else is like whipped cream on top, or the cherry on top of the whipped cream. That's all secondary. That's all a bonus. The only thing is that makes any difference is how I am, how I feel.
That is such a great talking point. And in my eyes, I see it as, your experience, a journey unique to yourself, and especially in the trauma community. Divorce hits so close to home for me. And when I hear, oh, I'm going through a divorce, or, oh, I'm up against it, and here's where I'm at. In my mind, I can see, and I am also in the bigger picture to say what I experienced is not going to mirror that family, because their circumstances and their issues are unique to them. And there's no way, shape, or form that my validation of my experience in a way is I shouldn't compare it to another's. And the journey that we are all on for ourselves, and what point we are in our healing, some people are inspired to say, I've found my true calling. It all makes sense to me. I'm on this journey. And then when you're talking with them and they're trying to validate you, and are you sure you have complex PTSD? Are you sure you're this personality type? Are you sure? How did you know? And that makes you feel small. It makes you feel put in a box. And it makes you feel like you have to hide yourself for this other individual that is sensitive. And you get to the point where you're like, F it. I know who I am. I know what I've been through. I don't need someone who's just on their new calling journey to put me in a shelf wherever that is on their value scale for them. I'm like, good for you. You're on this platform. You want to bring visibility. Everyone has their own way of showing that. So, I love books. I love comics. I love indie comics. I want to write. I've been wanting to write about this for so long, but I've had, again, fear about, when we say, have I talked to my dad? Have I talked to my mom? Have I told them, like, I'm aware of my trauma and what my trauma is, and how I want to share that with the world? And what if they come across it? And what if they see it? What if they hear this podcast? It's like, again, you put yourself second because you are worried about someone else and how your interaction with them is affecting them. And at the end of the day, you have to say, I don't have time to give empty validation to others. I don't have time. Like, yeah, we may not agree. We may have conflict, and conflict is healthy. But just because I'm silent and not choosing to give my power away, I'm not agreeing that you're right. I'm not agreeing that you can keep going on in this toxic direction. So,
Absolutely.
in our community, I'm very respectful. And I just feel like that is such a strong topic to say, where I am and where you are may not align, but I am humbly respectful of you getting up every day and you keep trying.
Yeah, absolutely. That's extremely good. Like, that's so important. And I hate to think that there are a lot of people out there who don't have that. They don't think that way. They're very, everything they do, or everything they think, they say, they watch, they eat, what they wear, a lot. It's so much of it is, how are they going to think? Right? Like, and especially ones who have the trauma, like there are obviously people that do that don't have trauma, of course, but the ones that have dealt with the trauma, and their fear is, how are they, what are they going to think of me? What are they going to say? Are they going to still want to be with me or be near me if I do this, if I say that? There's so many little factors in the things that they do that it's controlling them. And if they can't find the strength, or they can't, they don't have the ability to, like you said, F them.
I didn't know if we could cuss, so I wasn't gonna do that.
We can if we have
okay.
to. But yeah, like if they can't step back and go, this person isn't healthy for me. If I want to wear a jersey and go out about and walk around and have a good time and not care what they think, they can't be in my life. They can't be there, because they're stopping me from living my life the way it's supposed to go, or the way it should be. And that's not healthy. And that fear is so strong in a lot of people, that it stops them from achieving anything. Some, to a point where they don't do anything, because they're so scared of doing any sort of wrong thing. And some of them don't have a clue as to why that's happening. They just think that they have to make sure that person's happy, that person still loves them, that still thinks that they're a good person. And it's all fear, driven by their fear, because they haven't dealt with the fact that there's something that is going on. And if they can get over that, like, I'm not saying get over it as well, just get over it, but if they can heal to the point where they suddenly go, hey, I want to do this. This is what I want. This is what's going to make me feel happy. It's going to make me feel complete. And that person is holding me back because they don't agree with it, or they think it's, the irony in some of it is that that person thinks that this is holding them back, or not making them feel like that they matter, or that they're not suddenly in control over you. Then you have to say, enough, bye. I can't be around you because you're not healthy. That's causing me not to be healthy. I'm not doing what is best for me. And that plays into the whole looking after you before anything else. It all plays into that. And too many people out there either they don't know that it's happening, or they just haven't done enough work, and they haven't gotten to that where they can realize that they have to take care of themselves. And if they have to make tough choices, like some that can be very tough, extremely tough. If they can't make that choice, then they haven't gotten to that point yet. They haven't healed enough to make the choices that are required. And it's all fear, and they're too afraid to do it because they haven't healed, or they're too much control from someone that has power. And yeah, they're powerless because they haven't healed. If they can heal, then things can change really, so immensely. And finally they'll feel that safetyness. They'll feel that happiness that they've been craving for so long. And there won't be any of that fear in the back of their mind, or that, what do I do? I got to be careful. I got to make sure that person doesn't get angry because I'm wanting to go to the gym every day, or I want to play, I don't know, tag football every weekend because I love playing football, and that person's not going to be happy with it. You either have to say, okay, well, too bad, sorry, that's just the way it is, or they don't do it because they're too afraid. We'll take a short break, and then we'll be back with the rest of the episode on CPTSD.
The essence of fear is the power we give it. And being in mortgage in this processing role, there's a lot of different information and communication of what I'm gathering. And essentially, I am the engine of the loan. Once it hits me, I am taking that borrower all the way to signing. And I'm also, after signing, that is still on my plate. And I would wake up in the morning, like I had never been in a person of anxiousness or anxiety. Like my main element was anger. Like I felt comfortable in anger. Anger protected me, but it no longer serves me. And I had worked through anger management in my own way because I wanted to not be that way. Don't get me wrong. I will, if something hits close enough, I will rage up, but I will also shut down. Like I will wait to come back down before I engage with other people. And I've also learned in trial and error that just because I'm angry in the moment and I don't communicate verbally that, hey, I'm going to need some time and we're going to have to revisit this, or until I can cool off, we can continue talking. But to just be so consumed in anger where you don't even communicate that, it's really damaging to relationships and friendships. And
absolutely,
going into the pandemic and, where we have no knowledge of anything and mixed information going everywhere. There's that element. And then there's, I'm in a sink or swim environment with my career path. And, I'm waking up in the morning where I'm just thinking about everything that I need to address and get to today. And, what if it all doesn't work out the way it should? And to the point where, just an engine starting outside would get me going,
Right.
And I didn't know, like I'd never experienced that before. I had never experienced a full-blown panic attack. And it was so unknown to me. And so now, fast forward 2 years later, how we talk about practically looking at why, break it down. What is the worst case situation possible that this event could happen? And after I paint a picture of what is the worst thing that could possibly happen, start to build a game plan of, okay, worst case scenario happens, and here's what I have, work in progress, a formula of a reaction. And then once you say, okay, I have a plan for the worst case possible, then whatever happens between worst case and my fear of where I think something could happen, you can shut it down because you're already prepared for the worst thing.
Yeah. I'm sure that wasn't easy to at the beginning. I don't know too many people that can just at the snap of a finger go, oh yeah, okay, I can do this. It takes work. I'm sure there's a lot of failure to getting to that success, like the ability to do that. And I think there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that in order to make progress, you do have to fail, because you have to know what it's like, and you have to understand that it's okay. There is nothing wrong with not being successful, or not, having a setback, because you have to know what that feels like, and you have to. It's like saying to yourself, well, that wasn't so bad. Like, okay, yeah, I didn't do what I was setting out to do, but you know what? I'm still here. I can try again. I can get better. And then a few times you're starting to go, hey, you know what? This is working. And you get that, you feel confident, or you feel good about it. And then before you know it, you just, it's not, there's nothing to it. And you can it's funny, you can actually apply that to the healing process with trauma, because if all you ever think about is, I don't want to fail, I'm too scared of trying, if I do this and I fail, I'm just going to be miserable, or people aren't going to like me, or I'm going to think I'm a loser, or I'm going to think I'm there's no point. If you can fail, I'm not saying if you can, if you do fail at trying to get better, and you say to yourself, gee, that was pretty tough, but hey, I'm still here. I've still got my friends, I've still got this, this isn't so bad.
Break, and then we come
and
back
then you try again, or you keep going, and you keep going. Eventually you get to the point where you're going, okay, I'm doing this person is saying, you're no good at this, or you're just not right. And instead of going, oh, you're right, and quitting, you're going, I don't care what that person thinks. I know that I'm good enough. I know I can do this. Keep going, whatever. You get to the point, it's like, it's the same as the healing. You heal, and you get to the point where you're just saying, all that matters is me. If you don't like it, too bad. If that person doesn't like it, oh, well, whatever. Like, there's other people, it's not like that was the last guy or the last girl out in the world, or the last friend or whatever. You move on, and you feel you're healed, and you feel ready for any challenge. And even if you do get triggered, like if something comes up and and it scares you, you're at a point where you go, yeah, okay, but hey, we've been through this. We know what the outcome is. We know what the end result is. It's not a bad thing. And you feel it, you acknowledge it, and you're like, yeah, all right, but it's okay. I know where I am. I know that I'm all that matters. I'm happy. I'm safe. I feel good about what I'm doing, and it's short-lived, and it doesn't affect you. Doesn't affect your life. Sure, it's there, but it's not controlling what you're doing. It's not taking over. You're the one that's in control, and that's where people want to get to. And when they've done all that work and they see it, and then it keeps happening, and they keep noticing that they're in control, they feel safe despite that trigger. The world's, it's theirs, because they're healed. They feel safe. They know that they could get triggered, but they know that they can handle it. They know that they're okay. And you can actually apply that to so many different things, but specifically when it comes to dealing with our fear and trust with other people, when you feel confident in yourself and you feel that you know that it's your actions, what you do, what you think is important, your life is what matters. No trigger is going to change that, because you know that you can move on, that you're safe, you can do it, you're okay.
Yes, a prime example is being in family situations, and I come from a big family, and being able to judge your needs. And I have been known to literally walk out, get in my car and drive off, not say bye to anyone, not tell anyone I'm leaving. Like, you've reached your threshold and you're like, I'm good. Everyone can socialize. Everyone can have a good time. I am going to go on about my day. And there is peace in that, because you are no longer beholden to, again, someone else's judgment in your family tree of dynamics. So
Absolutely.
when I go out to see my father, he still lives in the same town that I grew up in. And of course, that's very triggering for me, because it is an environment of lots of memories. And I have to mentally prepare myself and say, am I okay with having this in my day to day? And it has nothing to do with him. And you kind of psych yourself up saying, well, here's all this fear and here's all this, volume of what could happen. But you realize once you get there and you don't have those experiences, but you have healthy, positive memories that you're built on in that moment, and you realize, wow, time is going by really fast. And I want them in my life for every minute that I can, because in a blink of an eye, they won't be here anymore. And when I leave my father's house, I feel so overwhelmed and just so happy, like, wow, I had a great time. And all of these things that possibly could have happened didn't happen. And it goes back to our personal journey. So as I have worked on myself, my father has worked on himself. Maybe his third version wife is a watered down version of my mom, but hey, he's working on himself, but she, my stepmom, I have mad respect for. She's a very strong, independent woman. Goo goo gaga for my dad, whatever. I'm not competing for his affection. But in a nutshell, like, what she does professionally is where babies are delivered. I'm not a medical person. I can't do it, but I'll just say, like, during COVID, and our nurses in our hospital were impacted on such a heavier mental level that I can't even scrape the surface of. And so as of this month, she is taking time off. She is going to therapy. She is, having brunch with friends. And I'm so happy that she is doing that, because that is important for her. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
So, I'm just trying to paint a picture of, as you are working on yourself, everyone is working on themselves. And these memories in the past, they can echo to the forefront. But, me and my sister, we are two different people. But some of the things that I hear her say, I'm just like, wow, like, you told dad that? You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, you said that.
No kidding.
And what she basically said was, Dad, you're having issues with your wife. You need to talk to her before the holidays and figure that shit out. Because we don't need to drag that into all of us. And sure enough, that transparency, that communication, is just as important for every individual.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's funny. That goes into something else that we could even talk about at some point. The communication thing. That's another ball. The final thing here. Getting close to some time that I need to do stuff, but I have coming up. I have a big thing. Something that I have to do that have been dreading, because I didn't know if this would ever occur. There's been a bit of in my family, there's been a bit of a quarrel or kind of a problem. And I have a relative that I'm going to see for the first time in 10 years. And I should say there is still respect, but it's been tarnished a little. But I had a great deal of respect and admiration and love towards this person because I grew up as a child, with this person in my life, and then something occurs and it completely changes your opinion and how you think of that person, because it's just like it's like your partner doing something that you never thought would happen, right? Like, and then so your memory and how you feel and you think about that person completely changes, and you can't just erase that and go, oh well, it's in the past, it's no longer. I've been thinking about it, and it was even to the point where it kept me up. Like I woke up and I couldn't fall back asleep because I remember going, holy shit, I'm going to be seeing this person. I'm not sure if I can do this without feeling scared or triggered and not being me, like the me that I know that I have been before with this person. And it's worrisome because I'm going, am I going to do this? And it's not just me, like my dad's there and my girlfriend's there. And I am worried that I'm going to go and I'm going to get triggered because there's this fear of not allowing, like knowing what occurred and not letting it get in the way of trying to start over or trying to heal and move on. There's a big fear in there. And I'm really, it's to the point where I have to think hard and I have to really be ready. Like I have to be prepared. I can't just say, I'm doing this because it's for her sake or to make my dad happy or because I got to do this. I need to go and I have to be ready. I have to feel that it's what's best for me. And it's troublesome because I'm not exactly 10 years into therapy going, oh yeah, okay, I can just shut it off. It's going to be there. And it may be there the entire time, but I have to be comfortable so that I can go and not and not have that possibility of getting triggered and not going, like I have in the past where I sit and do nothing or I hardly say a word because I'm so scared of possibly saying something or possibly doing something that might not be the best idea or the best thing to say because it could be taken the wrong way or could, come across as inadvertently hurtful or, like it's serious. It's a big deal. And it's one of those things that I think it's a trauma. It is trauma based. And it's not like I have trauma of her. I'm not scared of her. It's this fear of rejection, fear of upsetting somebody, fear of making someone say, oh, how dare you? Or, oh, and then getting upset and then all the work you've put in is gone because you said something that they didn't like. It's dealing with that fear, right? And that flashback of knowing that this isn't going to be an easy thing. But you do have to at some point be the adult and face that fear when you're ready. Like facing it when you're not ready is not healthy, but facing it when you know you're ready for it, that's so big.
Yeah, I just want to say that in that circumstance, you really get to decide what is good for you and what is not good. Like I can recall my half brother's birthday is the weekend before Thanksgiving, and all of my dad's family is up in Oklahoma. And it is very normal for us to go up there and see them. And I wasn't able to see my brother the weekend before, and my father took it very personally. I brought a whole cooked turkey. I was the first one to, get to the destination, and I'm setting up, and then my father comes up behind me and slaps me in the face. And I immediately just, go, what the fuck,
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm here for my family, and I'm here to see my family. But I promise you, the next morning I was packing up and heading out because I was so angry. And to him, he was like, oh, it's a love tap, or, oh, I'm just pissed that you blew off my son's birthday. You know what I mean? And it's like, I also get the cold shoulder from my sister, with directions on making it out there, where I had to meet up with her at one point, and then she was just driving like a bat out of hell, not even letting me like follow her to the end destination. And I was like, if you're both going to give me the cold shoulder, I'm out. You guys can have this. And I feel no guilt about it, because, that comes back into your individuality of, I have the option to remove myself from here. So you can have good intentions and want to be present, but the minute someone crosses that line, you can put them in check and say, this is not okay. And that's how I've had to communicate with my father. I've had to be very straightforward. I'm very direct. I don't beat around the bush. I don't bring emotions in. I'm just like, this doesn't work for me. And until I'm okay with what just happened, I'm not going to be present. And, that's just like the trauma of the response in the history with that family. And then, of course, being present in a room with all of those actions taking place. Now, because of that, have I been back to Oklahoma since for Thanksgiving? No. Is it my family's followed up in Oklahoma about that? No. But do I have to justify myself of being up there or not being up there and feeling guilty about it? No. So
no, absolutely not.
When this comes up, family is not easy. And it's not easy when there's toxic elements in different relationships. And you get the choice of engaging in that or not engaging in it, or telling them straightforward. Like, that's the thing. Like, you never know what you're going to get for feedback until you have that dialogue with someone. And if they're too toxic to have dialogue with, then it's not worth your time.
Yeah. Well, as a friend said to me, you only can have control of what you do. You can't control what other people do. And so don't worry about what if you can't control them, don't worry about it. You just do what's best for you. You control what you do. So if you don't feel comfortable, don't put yourself out there and make yourself feel at risk or or possibly triggered. If they don't want to interact, or if there is something that they say that offends you, you have a choice. You can say something and defend yourself, or you can say, well, I'll let it go, or it's up to you, but you only control what's your life.
Yeah. I don't want to take this in a heavy way, since we're here at the end of our conversation, but I'm very thankful of what we did get to talk about and discuss. And
absolutely,
it's always riveting to be, when I'm in these mental health spaces and I hear people say, like, I've been crying, or I've been crying for a week, or this is happening. And it's so understandable, because I was joined in a space where someone was talking of their experience of abandonment. And I was like, I never thought I would be able to talk about this with anyone. I felt I would go through most of my life just accepting that I couldn't connect with people in this way. And it was sad, and it is sad, but it's like, you know, how people say they have like their clique, like, oh, I'm into football, or I'm like authentically resonating with bingo, or, you know, just all these other examples of you finding your people. And I have always felt a disconnection of having that, and to have that in this community, with this visibility, and, you know, like just, you know, making my headline say visibility for complex PTSD, it starts that conversation. People are like, what is that? What are you talking about? And I'm like, okay, well, here's a light gist of what that is. And this is a light gist of my background relating to that. And instantly there's connection. It's something that's kind of been there, but it hasn't been presented and openly accepted because it is really sensitive. You know, it's really sensitive of ourselves.
Yeah, there aren't very many people out there that I have been able to talk to about CPTSD with, because most people aren't in the right place, or they're in their, you know, they're not ready to express their thoughts on it, or how they feel, or their experiences. And it's unfortunate, but that's just the reality of where people are. Like, I hope one day that there'll be more people that will feel capable of talking about it, and will want to share their experiences and their thoughts on it. And maybe one day that, you know, that could be soon, or it could be a while, as more people are aware of it, and they start to heal, and they start to feel that they can talk, then it actually will help everybody. It, you know, because with it, when there's voices out there that are discussing the problems that we have and the experiences that we deal with and what we've been through and where we are, they could feel motivated to get there too, right? Like, without it, they're just going to feel that they can't make progress. They can't get any further in what they're going through. And if other people are saying and it rings a bell in their mind going, shit, that's me, they're going to feel better about what they're doing, and they will move forward.
Exactly. You know, sometimes if you kind of go back into that layered, you know, I want to get to the core, and I want to share this, and you never know how that feedback is going to come back, where you're like, did I say too much? Did I cross the line with someone? Was it offending someone? And did I trigger someone? And the most feedback I've gotten is, I am so appreciative for hearing you talk. It has helped me today. And, you know, it's not like I'm just saying that to say that. And I'm not saying it's that same response every day, but collectively over time, it has been, thank you. It really helped me. And it's not that I'm, you know, pulling back the curtains for the core of me solely to help people, because in reality, I'm helping myself. I'm putting myself first. I'm here desiring to make that connection because I've never had that before. And I'm very appreciative to be here and to be talking with you. And I'm, you know, crazy respect for what you do and the efforts that you put in. And I'm really excited to keep seeing the journey forward.
Well, thank you. Awesome. I appreciate the kind words, because that is very true. It takes a lot. It's not easy to do this. by any means. And hearing that is very motivational and very good for, wanting to continue and do and say more. All right. Well, on that's a perfect place to end this podcast. I would like to thank Victoria for being on the show. I know this was quite long, but this is really good. So I'm sure people are going to really take this in, and hopefully it'll help more people. Okay, everybody. That's it for this episode. Thank you, Victoria.
Thank you. And, if anything resonates with anyone, you're always welcome to reach out to me. I'm a very open person. And because of everything that we have talked about today, I'm an open book. And, knowing oneself, you have the power of what you gauge to let in to your life. And, I'm here. You're here. Anyone that is, coming into this space, we are here.
Exactly. And I am willing to listen for hours if need be to someone and, lend my own thoughts, but mostly to listen. That's the whole point.
Well, I know you've got things going on, and I'm ready to wind down too. And we made it through the middle of the week, so thank you very much.
Absolutely. You're welcome. Okay, all right, everybody. That's it. We'll talk again later. All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.